Welcome back. You are turning into Financial Fitness Northwest Live on 1150 KKNW, where we help you navigate the mortgage and real estate market with expert advice from knowledgeable and trustworthy industry professionals. We are here today with Tina Hilden from Keller Williams, Puget Sound. Tina is a lifelong Seattle area resident and previous small business owner for 17 years and real estate broker since 2008. She holds multiple accreditations, some of which include Certified Foreclosure Specialist, Accredited Staging Professional, Senior Real Estate Specialist, and Certified Negotiations Expert. When not actively selling homes, Tina can be found connected to her family and community. She enjoys volunteering, teaching, gardening, and traveling. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Tina. So we're going to be talking about preparing your home for sale to net top dollar. Today's buyers are really knowledgeable and savvy, and a seller not only needs to price their home competitively, but also have it in the best condition possible so it really catches the eye of the buyer to get them the best offers, right?
They do.
Yeah. So let's talk about what's the first step that you should do before you're putting your home on the market.
Really is to dissociate yourself emotionally from the house. Your house is going to become a product. It's not a home in the eyes of a buyer. So if they can do that and walk through it and look at things as a buyer would see it, it really makes that first step of making a list and what to do to get it ready a little bit easier.
That sounds really hard, though, because, I mean, people are pretty emotionally attached to their homes.
Yes. A lot of memories,
right.
A lot of milestones.
That's why you remove like a lot of personal things in the house too, right?
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think removing the things that are not being used, either boxing them up, put them in storage, or even donating is, and then once you can clear out the clutter or the less, have less items, then you can reevaluate what you keep, how do you stage, and go from there.
What you need to do. So first step is probably like just a good spring cleaning, like going through your house and just purging stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Getting ready to move.
And some of these tips may be good just for that spring cleaning for those who are not selling.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's true.
Yeah, I probably should do that right now. Well, I mean, I always think about that. When you're just talking about the, depersonalizing, because we're always thinking about, are we going to sell our house or are we not going to sell our house? And then I'm like, oh, hanging up a new picture on the wall, but this is so amazing. I'm such a wonderful decorator. I'm sure everybody wants to see all of my decorations in my house. Is that how like a lot of home buyers feel? Because you want to minimize what you have up.
You want to minimize. You want the buyer to be able to picture themselves in the home, not visiting someone else's home and looking at your family photos.
Right.
So having it depersonalized, decluttered allows that buyer to really see themselves there.
Yeah. So when someone's coming through your home, they're picturing their own lifestyle in that house rather than looking at someone else's lifestyle, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And you're selling space, so less is more.
Right.
And if you can get that buyer to start measuring and figuring out where they're putting their furniture there, that's a little bit powerful to get that buyer to commit to an offer.
So do you recommend them going for using a professional stager, or is that something you offer? How does that work?
You can. There are some great stagers out there, gives a lot of good information or at least a guideline on how to start, but you don't have to use a professional. I do light staging, and a lot of times we can go in, rearrange, and work with what the buyer or the seller has.
Oh, really? So you help them stage their house then?
Yes, I will definitely give them some tips, walk through it, let them do what they can in the beginning, and then I'll come through and help towards closer to the listing date.
So do oftentimes sellers have to get a storage unit to remove furniture from their home?
They do, or
Yeah.
a pods is great too.
Oh,
if
yeah.
they know where they're moving to, a lot of times we can box and just put it in maybe one stall of the garage.
Oh. That's a good
How
idea.
much time does it usually take someone to get through this whole process to prepare to put their house on the market?
Well, that's pretty individual. Depends
Yeah.
on how motivated they are and how much they have. So,
Yeah.
Well, what should sellers really keep in mind as they're getting their house ready to sell besides the staging? And I mean, is there a checklist of items that they should be doing or kind of preparing for as they're thinking about putting their house on the market?
Oh, there's a lot. it really, you want to put your best foot forward and just have it shine the first time through. You want to have it ready to go. So if it's dusting, get the windows cleaned. It's fixing the broken tiles. Even what we like to do is you're going to look at the big items, but you also want to look at the affordable items.
Okay.
And there's a lot you can do, even if it's replacing some of the old towels, a bed, bedspread. But definitely looking at if there's leaks, do we need to replace a faucet? You want to get some of those little things done that are affordable, so you're not putting all your money into one big item and then the rest is there that the buyers are particular and they can be nosy. So they will look in the cupboards, they will open drawers. We want to make sure all of those are in good working condition.
So you have to organize your drawers is what I'm hearing. I have to organize my silverware.
That's amazing. I never thought of that.
The junk drawer. I mean, what the heck?
You can't have a junk drawer, I don't think, right?
This is stressful. I feel like you're talking to me, Tina. Well, what about like painting? So I'm always thinking about in my house, there's the big things that you want to do so your house seems more appealing, but like the little things, I mean, do buyers come and expect like fresh paint? Should you be like touching up the paint on your walls? And
paint is a great, inexpensive item to really freshen up a house, especially those neutral colors. You don't want to be the seller that is known as the orange house, orange bathroom house.
Yeah. Yeah. So painting is good then.
Prepare yourself to look as move-in ready as possible. That's really going to get the buyer to move.
Because right now in this market, I mean, there's a lot of buyers. So our sellers feeling like, well, gosh, I shouldn't have to do that because I'm going to get all these offers. Or do you still have to do that? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
It really depends on the area you are. The Seattle East Side, you have a lot of cash buyers, a lot of competition, and people will buy. You move outside of the area further south where you still have competition,
right?
But you're finding they're not waiving inspection. So therefore, you do want to make it as presentable and ready, move-in ready as possible.
Right.
You'll have buyers that will, in a competitive, they will offer a strong offer, but yet they'll turn around and they'll want to negotiate down at the time of inspection. So the better the house is in, better condition, therefore you have the leverage as a seller to negotiate and be strong all the way through the contract.
Okay. So like we're on the east side, there's really no negotiation on inspection, or they're mostly waiving it. Once you move to actually affordable housing, right, a little bit further south. Then, Kent, Covington, Maple Valley, right, to Federal Way, Tacoma,
further south.
Then you have to be a little bit more cognizant of
exactly
those things. So what about the outside of the house? What things about?
You want a great first impression. So trim, clean front door, it's swept. You want the yard trimmed, maybe some flower. Actually, yellow is a good buyer emotion color. So
really?
Put out those yellow flowers.
Good to know. Go grab some marigolds and throw them around the front yard, right?
Well, what about right now? Because everything's so ugly looking because it's like winter forever here right now.
Primroses are out.
I was just going to say, I asked a gardener about that because I saw all these people carrying out these huge flats of primroses from Costco, and I'm like, what are they thinking? It's like supposed to snow. And anyway, our plant guy at the office, I talked to him about it, and he said, no, primroses is a great time to do that. So,
wow, so you can. But I mean, I feel like, for me, my yard it looks so much more beautiful in the spring. So, a lot of people wait to list their houses, right?
Sure.
So we're going to have a lot of houses on the market, like right around the corner here.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully.
Especially you hit tax time and the weather change, we're going to see the market get even busier.
Yeah.
So back to a couple of exterior items, especially the roof. If a seller knows that the roof is towards the end of life stage, it's really better. And their financial part is to get that roof fixed than to negotiate it.
Yeah, because the buyer's going to ask for a whole new roof.
You bet. And they have control over who it's done, what type of, product is done. And so some of those big items, they're better off financially to have it done ahead of time.
Well, that's good because I think probably a lot of sellers put off that because that's a pretty big expense.
Big ticket item, right?
Yeah.
But still, also those big ticket items help you get the top dollar for your house when they're done, correct?
You bet.
Yeah.
Especially if you have your inspection done and then the buyer is negotiating for the cost of a whole new roof. That's a lot of your net.
It's a lot. Another good idea for sellers to go out and go through those open houses in the neighborhood and compare what your competition is.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Neighbors, I'm coming. Just kidding. Watch out. I'm going to be checking you out.
That's funny.
So I know it can be really stressful having strangers in your home and showing your house. How do you deal with that as a seller, especially with families and stuff?
I guide my sellers to be prepared. Try to keep, of course, as clean as possible. Yet one thing is there a lot of times our valuables could be guns, could be medications in the house. And best thing to do is take those out ahead of time, give them to a family member so they're not in the house just for their protection. Or maybe if there's things they need to have, box them up, and it could be something they take with if there's part of an open house or a showing.
Oh, they just take it out of the house. What about if you have animals? You have to take them too.
It depends how we set it up. Either they may have a kennel or you take with. Sometimes we'll have them in the garage and we'll
They'll just bark the whole time while you're showing the house. That's relaxing.
Yes. I went to an agent's open house not too awfully long ago, and the people had a really sweet dog, and they just left the dog in the house, and the house greeted all the people that came in. It was really funny. I think a lot more people wanted the dog than they wanted the house.
I don't think that would work so good with Sam. He would just jowl everybody out.
Can you imagine our dogs?
They'd
Oh my God.
slime all over their legs.
Yeah, not good. No, but Sam's sweet.
He's cute.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Gosh.
So, Tina, all this preparation, I think this probably comes back to the more personal feeling that people have about their house, but how do they know that that their house is going to present well on the market? I mean, is that what you're there for, maybe?
It is. I think a neutral party who can give an unbiased opinion is really in the seller's best interest to come through. Once they feel it's ready, have that last walkthrough. I am happy to come through, and maybe if we need to put sticky notes or rearrange things and really have a one last walkthrough, and I will take the sellers through, hoping that they can look at, walk through their own house in the eyes of a buyer.
Oh, that's good. Do you take the sellers often, when they're deciding on the price of their house and the things they do and don't do? Do you ever take them on a field trip? You have pushback on things to have them see other homes?
Most of them aren't willing to actively go out. I will bring in pictures when we'll do a market analysis, and I will bring pictures in that gives them a visual of other staged homes, and it gives them an idea of what their competition is like.
Right. Okay. So back to, the items in the house, I'm just thinking, you probably go through and give them a punch list of here's the things I see you probably should do. And then they do with that what they're going to decide what they're going to do or not, right?
Exactly.
Some follow your instruction,
some won't.
Yeah.
Yes.
So on the items, though, how deep do you have to get into it? Obviously you want your house to look clean and fresh and, ready to move in. But, should you be going around and changing all your fixtures out, updating things? Is that going to make an impact on the sellability or the profit of your home if you have, newer bathroom, light fixtures versus what the builder grade ones?
It will make some difference. Of course, if there's fixtures that are, something that the seller is attached to, I would change those out ahead of time and pack them up and take them with.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, a buyer in this market, especially with the prices, the competition, they want move-in ready. So any updates is great. Yeah.
Is it going to... because you're going to have a lot of buyers, but it just might impact on how high it goes.
I wouldn't think a bathroom fixture will be a deal breaker.
Right.
But they have to be able to see what they can do with their funds, too. It's a buyer, they're going to want as much as they can get.
Yeah.
And, of course, the seller wants to give as little. So it's really finding that win-win. but usually it's all around. If the house is solid and it shows pride of ownership, that's going to be the ticket to get it sold.
Right.
Yeah, I think people looking, it seems like it's pretty obvious when you're looking at a house that is well cared for versus one that maybe hasn't been cared for as well. I mean, that kind of jumps out, I think, to the buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And it also gives that seller leverage to, not negotiate too deeply.
Yeah. So what's your feeling on a seller doing their own inspection prior to putting their house on the market to see what might come up so that they could maybe address those items? Is that something that's done?
Yes, there is what's called a pre-sale inspection. So many of your home inspectors will do it. I work with two that have two different inspections. One is a smaller inspection that does all the main systems and look at the structure. And then there's the larger package, in which is similar to a buyer's inspection. They'll check the windows, the outlets, the water pressure, the blinds, and all the other little details. So having that and then present it to the buyer shows pride and ownership, and it also gives the seller the opportunity to go fix those little items ahead of time.
So how do you feel about buyers waiving their inspection? What's your stand on that?
That's a good conversation. You have buyers who are very knowledgeable. They're very handy, and that may not bother them or intimidate them. You have first-time owners. I would really recommend that inspection because they need to learn about the house.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because they're new to it. They have no idea. Mm-hmm. So, Tina, you work more on the South Puget Sound end, right? And, it is really still very competitive everywhere. Are you seeing a lot of, multiple offers and going above asking down south still, or no?
Yes.
You are?
Frequently.
Okay.
Yes. And this really went on even through the winter months, even though the market may be slowed a bit. It hasn't changed the competition. There is not enough inventory for the amount of buyers we have. And with the prices in the Seattle area, east side, the buyers are moving south. So there definitely is a demand.
Yeah. Well, there for sure is a demand. So are you seeing with the escalating prices, have you run across any appraisal issues on the south end side with appraisals coming in lower, or are they coming in at value?
I personally have not had any issues with
Knock on
appraisals.
wood. Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is guiding the seller to make a competitive sell price. You have, of course, there's some who want as much, but really in the end, it's not. You want to have them price it competitively so we get multiple offers and we're still within that appraisal.
Right.
We haven't had an issue with. I've heard of some, but I personally haven't had to deal with a low appraisal.
Because you're such an excellent real estate agent guiding your clients.
Well, yeah, with all that experience.
Yeah.
That's pretty beneficial to both the buyers and the sellers. A lot of knowledge.
So, go ahead.
It's the relationship. It is asking the right questions, really know what motivates them, what is their short-term, long-term goals, and really listening.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to say from like the buyer's side of things, because you do work with both sellers and buyers. And so as a buyer, how do you get, how are you competitive in the south end? Because I feel like probably a lot of people maybe buying towards the south end might be more like first-time home buyers trying to get something that's a little bit more affordable, maybe don't have 20% down. And so they're putting less money down. And then they're in this market where there's still multiple offers and going over ask. And so, how do you make your offer competitive to appeal to the seller to win a deal?
Well, it also comes back to relationship. I will call the listing agent and find out what motivates mostly the seller. Is it price? Is it contingencies? Is it a closing date? What is it that really they're looking for, so I can guide the buyers on how to create that offer that's going to work both ways, win-win for both sides.
Right. That's good. Well, thank you so much, Tina, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It was great information. And Patricia,
Yes, thank you, Tina. It was awesome. And we're going to head out now. You are tuning in to Financial Fitness Northwest Live on 1150 KKNW, where we help you navigate the mortgage and real estate industry. When we get back, we will discuss some portfolio products available at Caliber Home Loans.